Aliens have been a hot topic of conversation for a long time, but with an increase of people believing in their existence, the desire to search for life beyond ours continues to grow. From some of the early stages of our search for alien life, to some ancient evidence that might prove their existence, to a recent sighting of an unidentified aerial phenomenon. Today on Life's Biggest Questions, we are looking at part 2 of the top 10 things that prove aliens exist. Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have habitable planets. Let's start off today's video by talking about habitable planets. It is of course possible that there is life out there that could survive on planets that we would not be able to live on because we don't know what kinds of conditions could be conducive to alien life, but we can start out by searching for planets that have conditions similar to our wonderful Earth, because that is, after all, what we currently know best, and it is conditions we know can host life. So that's what scientists did. Not that long ago it was believed that Earth was a bit of an anomaly in terms of its seemingly perfect conditions, but with more and more research and technological advancements, we know that that is far from the truth. A habitable planet has to meet requirements, like being in what is called the Goldilocks zone, which means it's not too close or too far from a star like we are with the sun. It needs to be warm enough that water isn't just ice, but cold enough that life can exist without being burnt up. You know, just the very general basics for life as we know it. Well, what we once thought was an anomaly is unbelievably common. We now know that around 1 in every 5 or 6 planets would be considered habitable and could potentially be hosting life as we know it. Considering it is thought that there is an exoplanet for every star in our galaxy, the number of habitable planets is huge. This doesn't mean these are the only options for planets that could be hosting life either. So with this knowledge, it is easy to draw the conclusion that life beyond ours is an extreme possibility, and maybe we just haven't had enough time to find it yet. In our number 9 spot today, we have They May Already Be Here. We have to throw in a point for the conspiracy theorists out there, so this one is for you guys. This is just the theory that maybe we can't find aliens because they're already walking among us. I can't quite explain the logistics of this one because I'm neither an alien nor have I had some alien dressed in human clothing reveal themselves to me, but I can't speak for everyone, and there really are people who believe that this could be a possibility. I know a lot of us would be quite frightened of aliens if we did find concrete proof of their existence, which is a totally fair response, and it might be likely that they're also afraid of us as well. And if they are more intelligent than us and were able to find us first, they might just be testing out the waters to see what humans really think of them before letting us in on their secrets or whatever cool things they know that we don't. So if you meet a stranger who starts asking you a bunch of questions about aliens, maybe think twice next time. In our number 8 spot today, we have ancient sightings. With the amount of technology right at our fingertips in the world of Photoshop and deepfakes and people who are just trying to get their 5 minutes of fame, it's hard to tell what is real and what is fake anymore, and it's easy to write off what someone claims they experienced, but what about in the times before all of that existed? I'm talking about the ancient times when flying objects didn't exist here on Earth yet and no one was trying to get followers on their Instagram page. Throughout our history, there have been many claims of alien sightings or encounters, but some of these claims come from ancient paintings and writings. I mean, let's take the 15th century painting The Madonna with Saint Giovannino as an example. The painting depicts the Virgin Mary, but in the background it also has some sort of hovering disc-like object that looks suspiciously like a UFO. This is just one example of these ancient sightings, but there appears to be otherworldly beings in things like cave paintings and Sanskrit scrolls, and some people even swear it is written in the book of Ezekiel. So of course, I realize this isn't concrete proof of the existence of aliens, but it definitely is compelling evidence. It either shows we've been visited by aliens before, or that humans have always had a knack for making things up. In our number 7 spot today, we have the geoglyphs. A lot of us have seen or at least heard of the geoglyphs at some point or another, but if you haven't, they are massive drawings carved into the earth and rock, and they appear all over the world in every culture, with the most famous example being that of the Nazca lines in Peru. Using that example, many people believe they may have been a sign of alien life due to the sheer size and variety of them, or perhaps the works of old men which can be found in Jordan. These have been described as stone-built structures that are far more numerous than the Nazca lines, far more extensive in the area they cover, and far older. This is all just to say that many of these works are so clear and precise and large that it leaves people wondering how this could have even been possible without some sort of bird's eye view. We get to enjoy them because we have the technology to see them from high enough above now, but when they were first created, there wasn't the technology yet, so why and how could they have been created? I'm just gonna say it. Aliens. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Antikythera mechanism. The Antikythera mechanism is an extremely mysterious discovery that has stumped researchers ever since it was found. This artifact was found 150 feet below the surface of the Aegean Sea in a shipwreck and is the oldest kind of computer ever recorded, as it was dated back to the 7th century BCE. The author David Childress likened the finding to it if they had found a jet plane in King Tut's tomb. That's how bizarre this discovery really was. Due to the complexity and oddity of the finding, alien enthusiasts have believed for quite some time that it may have been technology that was passed down from some sort of superior being, so aliens. When the artifact was recreated in order to learn about the mysteries it holds, the mechanism was able to calculate the position and running time of each planet. How would they have been able to create this without the use of sophisticated astronomical tools? I'm not saying this is concrete proof of alien, but this, coupled with the ancient sightings we already talked about, there has definitely got to be something else at play here. In our number 5 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it's basically just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All lives and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account, like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course could prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all of the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long it would take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself. That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This of course would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I do hope that this one isn't true though, because I hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 4 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. We started off today's list by talking about how we started our alien search by looking at planets that exist under similar conditions to ours, and while this is a really good place to start, this kind of inside the box thinking might not really get us anywhere when it comes to the search for alien life, because we don't know what kind of conditions are going to be suitable for them. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with that is that most planets have far more hydrogen and helium than oxygen. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and the other was ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet, because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 3 spot today, we have this radiation-proof bacteria. Before I dive into this one, guys, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you're enjoying the video so far. In 2002, Russian astrobiologists hypothesized that a bacteria here on Earth may have actually evolved on Mars. Deinococcus radiodurans is the most tough bacteria on Earth. It can withstand even the most extreme conditions such as cold, dehydration, vacuum, and acid, but the craziest part is that it's virtually radiation proof. These little microbes can withstand several thousand times the amount of radiation a human can withstand, as well as more radiation than any other bacteria on Earth. You could even find this bacteria on the inside of a nuclear reactor. Scientists did an experiment to see how quickly this bacteria could build up a stronger radiation resistance by zapping the bacteria with enough radiation to kill 99.9% of it, and then leaving the remaining 0.01% to repopulate before zapping it again and repeating the process. It was concluded that it would have taken E. coli thousands and thousands of rounds to build up the same resistance that this hardy bacteria did in only 44 rounds. With this experiment, and based on the dose of radiation they gave each bacteria, it would take millions and millions of years to get even close to the amount of radiation they gave the bacteria in one cycle. Since Earth just doesn't carry that amount of radiation, it has led some scientists to speculate that since Mars is virtually unprotected and receives extremely high amounts of radiation, these bacteria may have evolved on Mars and gained their resistance in just a few 100,000 years, and then they may have been flung off of Mars by an asteroid and then brought to Earth on meteorites. It certainly is just a hypothesis at this point, but really, how else can we explain this random superpowered bacteria that is unlike any else on our Earth. I know these bacteria aren't the signs of alien life we were expecting and hoping for, but any alien life is exciting no matter how small. In our number 2 spot today we have fossilized microbes. This is a piece of evidence that came from 1996 and is said to have come all the way from Mars as well. 25 years ago, scientists said that they had potentially found what appeared to be fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. This rock was hypothesized to have come off of Mars after some sort of collision that the planet had, and then just casually floated around in space for some 15 million years before it ended up in Antarctica in 1984. You know, just the kind of things that happen in space. Once the rock was found and analyzed, it was found that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineralized magnetite, which can sometimes be found in the bacteria on Earth. Once viewed with an electron microscope, there were signs of bacteria found. Of course, with anything like this, there will always be skeptics, and some have claimed that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and some claim that the signs of nanobacteria were just grown in a lab. I'm not a scientist, nor have I seen this Mars rock, so I obviously can't say who is telling the truth here, but what I can say is that neither the people who believe this rock came from Mars, or those who claim it's fake can prove their point without any kind of doubt, so I'll just let you draw your own conclusions on this one. In our number 1 spot today we have the 2021 UFO. To end off our list today we have a trusty old UFO sighting that came from earlier this year. On February 21st, a blogger was using a radio scanner to try and pick up the feed from an aircraft when he received much more than ever expected. He intercepted the transmission of the wrong aircraft, but at the right time. As an American Airlines flight was headed from Cincinnati to Phoenix around 1:19 p.m., the pilot came on the radio to ask the question, "Do you have any targets up here? We just had something go right over top of us." After this, he followed up with, "I hate to say this, but it looked like a long cylindrical object that almost looked like a cruise missile type of thing, moving really fast right over top of us." Not only were the FAA air traffic controllers not able to see any object in the area on their radar scope, but they still have been unable to identify exactly what it could have been. This does happen more often than any of us really know, and it is possible that the object could have been part of some covert military or navy operation, but it certainly raises some alarm bells that it was unable to be tracked in any sort of capacity. I wonder if this is one of those stories that will remain a mystery, or if one day we'll get some sort of answers as to what exactly happened here. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye!